Hi, this is the first in our series of inequalities videos. This will be a definition and introduction. So let's start with, what does inequality mean? You can look at the word and see that one big part of this word is equal. So we're already familiar with equations. Equations, remember, are statements that have an equal sign. So an inequality would be a statement that contains two values that are not equal. So if we think about that, if we've got two values that are not equal, one is going to be more than the other. So we've got value 1. It's not equal to value 2. That means that one has to be more than the other. So if we look at these symbols that we use, we've got the symbol here where we're pointing to the left. I like to look at it, this is the small end here, the point. You can contain a smaller amount than you can fill in over here on that side. So if you look at it from left to right, if you get the small side first, that is a less than symbol. So 4 is less than 6. So 4 is smaller than the 6. You look at it from left to right. So if you've got something like n and then that symbol 10, this means n is less than 10. And we can think about the values that would make that work. What's less than 10? 1's less than 10, 2's less than 10, 3, 5, 8, 9, plus 9.25, 9.5. All of those numbers are less than 10. So n can be any of those values. We'll get a little bit more into the examples in a minute. Let's go through the other symbols. We've got greater than, which is opposite the first one. So we've got the bigger side first. So this would be something like 5 is greater than 1. P is greater than -3. So when we read that, we would read P is greater than -3. We think for any of the values that are greater than -3, P can be any positive number is going to be bigger than a negative number, doesn't matter what it is. So 1, 2, 100, all of those are greater than -3. -2 is bigger than -3. -1, 0 are greater than -3. So all of those are possible solutions to P is greater than -3. Our next symbol is less than or equal to. So this is very similar to the first symbol we looked at with the less than sign. But we want to look at if we have a statement like 4 is less than 4, this is not true. 4 is equal to 4. So this is not true. However, 4 is less than or equal to 4 would be true as well. So if we have a statement n is less than or equal to 10, my list of solutions can include the 10. And again, we'll get more into this when we talk about graphing, but just to go through so we understand the symbols. The next one we have is greater than or equal to. So similar to the last one, 10 is greater than or equal to 2. 10 is bigger than 2. This is true, but so can be 10 is greater than or equal to 10. That can also be true. So both of those statements are true statements. Now, there are several different ways to look at these symbols if you have a hard time remembering them. One of the ways people look at this is thinking of the symbols like a crocodile or a shark, and they are both hungry. So these guys are hungry. They want to eat as much as possible. So if we look at 4, and then we've got this symbol N, if you can imagine the teeth, what that means is that the N side has more. Because that shark or that crocodile wants to eat the side that's bigger. If you've got X is less than 10, you can see again, if this has the teeth on it, there's that crocodile wanting to eat the 10. That means that X is smaller, because the crocodile would choose to eat the 10, not the X. So that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is which is the small side, which is the big side. If I've got this symbol here, fewer things can fit on the point. Fewer things fit on this side, where a whole bunch of things can fit on this side. A bunch of things will fit here. So if we look at the sides, this is the small side, this is the big side. So if we've got 2 is less than 4, because we know that the 4 is bigger than the 2. So it's just another way to look at it. So we're going to put in the inequality sign that makes the statement true. So we know that 4 is smaller than 10. So if I look at the shark's going to want to eat the 10. So we got my teeth over here. The shark's going to want to eat the 10. So 4 is less than 10. Now that makes that true. Now you could also have less than or equal to, and that would also be true. So -3 and 0. So negatives can be tough. If you need to write a number line, go ahead and do that, understanding that if this is 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, everything going down is smaller. So we know that -3 is smaller than 0. So -3 is less than 0. Notice this is the small side, and over here is the big side. Fractions, 2/3 and 1/3. The 2 is bigger than the 1. So it doesn't matter that they're fractions. I can have a greater than side because the 2 is the bigger one. Again, I look at 45 and 42. 45 is bigger, so I make sure the bigger side is on the 45. And now this one, they're the same number. So an inequality is only going to be true if you include that equals sign underneath it. Understand that the other one would work as well. You could have 2 is less than or equal to 2, and that's also true. Again, negatives can be tough. Even though this number looks bigger than the 0, all negatives are going to be less than 0. Think about this again. If we go down, all of these guys are negative, and all of them are below the 0. So we know that the small side has to point to the -4. And that shows us that that statement is also true. We can also have, we can also test to determine whether something is a solution. And the way we do that is that we take our inequality, x is less than 8, and take each one of these values and plug it in to test. So if x is equal to 0 is the first one, I replace my x with the 0 and see if that's true. So 0 is on the small side of 8. 0 is smaller than 8. So this one is true. So I would mark this a yes. And then I do the same thing with each of those values. So replacing the x with the 5, 5 is less than 8. Is that true or false? Yes, this is true. 5 is smaller than 8, so yes, that is also true. My next value, plugging in the 8 for the x, copying everything else the way it is. 8 is less than 8. 8 is not less than 8. 8 is the same as 8. So this one's not true. The only way it would be true is if it had that equal sign underneath it. So 8 makes this false. And the last one, kind of running out of room, sorry. Replacing the x, copying everything else the way it is. 10 is less than 8. So 10's on the small side, 8's on the big side. That's not true. 8 is smaller than 10. So this is facing the wrong way, which means that 10 is not a solution. All right, so that's it for our definition and introduction. Keep your eye out for the next in our series. We'll talk about graphing.